Okay, the scrolling module is ready. Now what we need to do is we need to implement this in our div. So means here in the presentation we have to implement the scrolling. Actually, the scrolling module, if you want to use that scrolling module, so you need a directive which is used as an element, directive element. And the directive element you need is, so you need a CDK virtual scroll virtual scroll virtual scroll viewport viewport CDK virtual scroll viewport. This is the element that we need and this element is required to handle virtual scrolling, and you can get this from scrolling module of Angular CDK scrolling. You can get it from there. That means we need to just import that, and we have to use this virtual scroll viewport. And you can use some attributes. So viewport can use an attribute as item size. That means, so you can define so how many items you want to display. So number of items to display. And another important is, while using virtual scrolling, the iteration over scrolling elements, scrolling items is managed by using iteration over scrolling elements is managed by using a special directive that is CDK virtual for LET item of products. That is how we have to manage. Generally, we use ng for. So now instead of ng for, so we can use this. So virtual for will provide an iteration with lazy loading implementation. That means it will load only what is needed for that screen. It will not load any additional thing. It will give a virtual scroll bar. So when user is scrolling, then it can display only the things that user is watching in the current view. Automatically, it will load the new things and display the new things into it. That is what actually this virtual for used to. You can use all the properties. Virtual for have properties same: index property, count property. So we have even property, we have odd property. So we have first, we have last, like options. These properties are same like have you used when you used that for ng for, the same attributes you use here, but with the additional virtual scrolling options here. For images, for contents, for any kind of information, you can implement this. So that means now to implement virtual scrolling here, we need to use a CDK virtual scrolling viewport. Whatever the contents you want to show, you need to keep that here. And you can configure some size. So we define item size, how many items maximum. So currently I said 100. We don't have 100 items, but maximum 100. That scroll bar will be set up to that. You can set up to the length of your data. So you can set up to the length of the data. So that will be better. So that means products dot length. You can get the length of the data. Okay. And in this item size, now I want to display the contents. I want to display the contents and display the contents through an iteration here. So we are designing images. We have to perform an iteration. Then I will use a div. I will use a div here. And in this div, I will put a class as this div class as simple like some card. We are using a card. And I want this card to repeat. I want this card to repeat. So I want this card to repeat. So we want the card to repeat. So then to make the card to repeat, so we can use this time not ngFor. We are using CDK virtual for. We are using CDK virtual for. And here we are configuring LET item of collection, that is products. Item is products. So, and once we configured that item of products and card. So here we are displaying. So div. So this is class as card body. We are using card body. And here we have an image SRC. So image SRC. And this is coming from item.photo. It is coming from item.photo. We have the data here. So data is having photo field. We are accessing that item photo. And width is suppose 50. Small thumbnail. Height also 50. Okay. That is the width and height for that. And below this, I will just keep another div. So class as card footer. And here I'm just adding a header. So heading 4. And here I am defining the name. So item.name. I'm configuring this. Yeah. Now, what we will do is we will keep the height for this. We will keep the height for this viewport. So that means how much height you want to set for that viewport. We will define the height for the viewport. So I will go to CSS and here I will create one class as example viewport. So for this example viewport, I will keep this height as some 300 pixel. That is height as 300 pixel. Okay, and width as some percentage. Suppose some 50%. Okay, of the column we have. So margin left, I'm defining as some 50 pixel. And border, so we are defining border as some 1 pixel, so solid, and some dark cyan, something. Border is defined for that. And the display, so we will keep as a flex display, flexible display for that, right? And this we can use for our contents. This we can use for our contents. That means how we want that here. So what we missed here, okay, fine. So this is the name and the content and the height. Now for this viewport, so that is virtual scroll viewport. We will put the class as example viewport. That is the class. So that is example viewport class. We are applying that example viewport class here.